Hi everyone, I'm Sally Wilson and I have with me as my special guest TRTP Senior Practitioner Kim Hopson. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you, Sally. Nice to be here.
So Kim, I was looking at your list of accreditations.
Yes.
And it's just too long actually, I can't remember. But I know that you've had clinical experience for 30 years. So
Yes.
you're a psychologist and you have all of these other accreditations. So my question is, why did you train in TRTP?
Oh, well, that's easy. In all of my years, and I think it's probably close to about 35 years now in private practice, of course, I've had people presenting with trauma, they've lived with distressing events from a very young age or later in life. And I don't think the training I had really fully equipped me to work with the serious, very serious cases.
Okay.
And I had trained in, as I said, different modalities that really just didn't yield the results that I would have liked to have yielded. And sometimes, as you know, with some clients, they've had really, really very difficult lives. And sometimes it would take up to many, many months and often many years before to be able to work through the trauma. And I just didn't feel that was good enough. And I was becoming a little bit depleted and a bit depressed myself with the lack of results. And so I looked around, trained different modalities, and then I came across TRTP. It sounded like it was too good to be true, but I thought, well, I want to give it a go.
Yeah.
And that's why I did it, because I had become very disenchanted with my results, working with clients, and it was taking a number of years. And I just thought that there has to be something more. People shouldn't have to suffer as they do, and certainly in a therapeutic sense. So I really looked for something that was going to help me, help my clients.
Yep. And what was it about TRTP that seemed too good to be true when you came across it?
Well, the fact that it could, you could resolve trauma in 3 to 5 sessions. Yep. That had never been my experience. As I said, it would sometimes take years.
Yeah.
And so, of course, that seemed like it was far too good to be true.
Yeah.
But equally, I thought, well, let's see. And I'd had numerous conversations with Judith over time, and I learned to really appreciate what she was saying, and I thought that it was time for me to try it because nothing else was working.
Yep. Yep.
So I thought, well, it was up to me, and I thought I had to do what I could to be a better therapist.
Yep. And so how has it transformed your practice?
Quite remarkably, and in a way that I didn't think would happen, really. I just thought I'd be able to have yet another skill. And of course, as you know, we're always training, we're always doing workshops, there's always new skill training available to us, and I'm always training. So I just thought, well, here's another set of training. I'll learn a few more skills and hopefully that'll make me a better practitioner. Well, it's certainly done far more than that. And I think in many ways, I'm more excited about my work. Now, I've always loved being a therapist. I've always so enjoyed my work. And it's always felt like such a privilege to work with people and to accompany them through their journey. And I've become part of the journey too. So I've always really enjoyed and valued and felt quite privileged to be in this position. But these days, I love it. And at the end of the day, I can come home and say, I've just had the best day. And I find myself smiling more and laughing, and I laugh a lot more with clients, and we can go to the depths of the hill and we're back again, and we're laughing, and I'm more energized. Than I think I'd ever been before. So in that way, personally, I've just felt more energized. I love it. I talk about it a lot. And certainly professionally, it's certainly very much given me the skills that I more than hoped for.
Yep. And I know that, and that you do work with a lot of people with complex issues,
Yes.
and that a lot of and you know, psychiatrists refer to you as well.
Yes.
How has it shifted the work that you do with people with complex presentations?
Well, firstly, it's given me a lot more confidence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing. I feel that I could probably manage most presentations.
Yeah.
Very, very confidently. That doesn't mean that I'll just go ahead and just work. And of course, as you know, we have such a dynamic community that there's always people to talk with, and really work through very complex cases, which is also very important. But I feel a lot more confident in my work.
Yeah.
Dealing with these complex cases. And in many cases, it seems very complex, but then when we break it down with the tools that we have, we can actually see, well, maybe it's not as complex as it initially looks.
Yes.
And many of the clients I come have got many diagnoses, which at first was starting to look quite overwhelming. But again, breaking it all down and working with our tools could actually see it's not as complex as it actually looks at first glance.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. How satisfying is that? Looking at something and going, yep, I know what to do here.
Yes.
And they're going to be okay.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And I remember one of the first people I got who was very, very complex. And I looked at the referral and I looked at the diagnosis. And I thought, I don't think I can do this. Then I took a breath, looked at that, looked at the work that we had to do. And then I thought, of course I can do this. Of course we can do this, because that's how we've been trained to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And we break it down into these very simple steps.
Yes. And that's a really interesting point, is that it's not only confidence in ourselves. And that, of course, is a wonderful and necessary thing, but it's confidence in the process, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And always keep coming back to basics. And throughout all of my working life, my career as a psychologist and a psychotherapist, at different times, when I was with a client, because I used to work a lot in medium long-term psychotherapy, and if I was ever in a situation with a client and it was starting to feel, I'm not sure where this is going, I'm not sure what's going on here, and I might start to get a little bit, maybe a bit anxious myself, I would always say to myself, come back to the basics, come back to the basics. Yeah. And I would ground myself in that, I'd come back to the basics and it would be okay. And it's the same with this, just keep coming back to the basics.
Yeah.
You stick to the basic principles and you can get there.
Yeah. And Kim, I'm wondering too, because, you know, as practitioners during the training, we all go through the process ourselves.
Yes.
Do you feel like any personal shifts happen for you? And if so, are you comfortable sharing some of them?
Sure. I think I've been told, I remember saying to my husband some time ago, and we do a lot of our couples work and personal work, and I remember saying to him, it probably sounds quite arrogant now, and I remember saying to him, you know, I think you've softened over the years. And he said, and you know what? You have too.
Yeah.
And on reflection, I can see that most of that has happened since doing TRTP.
Yeah.
That there's just somehow there's a coming into self, having resolved, and I've done a lot of therapy, as we always have to do over the years, and worked with a lot of the issues, but there's something about having done TRTP, and of course, as we know, that when we're doing it with clients, we're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
And there's just a mellowing out that comes with it, I think. So at that very deep personal level, I feel those subtle yet very profound shifts.
Yeah. Kim, thank you so much for being so generous with your experience and sharing it with us. Thank you.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Kim. And listeners and watchers, thank you for joining us as well. Bye, everybody.